Well, listen, I appreciate you doing this story. I think, the big takeaway for me is for anybody who's an angel investor or an employee, ask questions. You were asking before, like employees aren't sophisticated. The great companies make their employees sophisticated. The great venture firms, like when I was at Sequoia, they educated us as to the value of stock options. They insisted that we educate our employees. They taught us how to educate our employees about when they should exercise or what the exercise window was. And if you left a company before you were fully vested and you had an exercise window, and we had these like really long discussions. The other one is the exercise window. I don't know if you understand that concept. When you leave a company, you have 30 days or 60 days.
Yeah. Yep.
And if you're an early employee, even if you're doing like a penny a share, if you've got 10 million shares, this could be serious money. Tens of thousands of dollars. And a lot of times employees, this is the dark secret, employees leave the company. They don't have the money to pay for private company stock.
Right.
And their shares just go back into the employee stock option pool. So probably a full 1/3 or half of employee stock options never get claimed.
Yeah. It's like a golden handcuff, right? Keeps you there.
Keeps you there.
Yeah.
But the exercise window, I think, we had these long conversations when I was a Sequoia founder and other folks about how long that window should be. And I think all the sophisticated firms wanted to build that trust with employees because you want to compete against Facebook or Google or Microsoft in the day or Amazon for those employees. So you want them to really understand that these things could be worth something and what their strike price is and what their exercise window is. And now there's a movement to make the exercise window 10 years. So if you leave Uber, this was a big thing with Uber as well.
This was a big thing at Uber,
was the exercise window. People wouldn't leave because they didn't want to have to pay because the price that it's a high-class problem. Like this is only a problem if the company has appreciated in value significantly, which has only happened, 1 out of 1,000 companies, Facebook, Google, Uber, Airbnb.
Did you tell Travis that was wrong or you felt that was wrong?
I don't know if I specifically had that discussion with him, but yeah, we Travis and I always had long discussions about right and wrong and debates of stuff. Like I can remember.
He's an interesting guy for sure.
The best founders I've ever invested in are have a very specific worldview that makes them successful, and they are not going to back down from that worldview without a fight or like a real debate. And the real debate I had was tipping. I could only remember having two really deep debates. Tipping, because I like to tip. I'm from Brooklyn, and I want a tipping in the Uber app.
But he makes a good point. It's unfortunate that people are not paid well enough that you have to tip them.
Exactly.
It should be the opposite.
Correct.
He's not wrong.
We discussed, and I think if he was still there, he probably would have executed this way. The 6-star is how he would describe it to me.
Okay.
And so we brainstormed this of what if there was a hidden way to give a tip in Uber that was an Easter egg? And so the suggestion I gave him was, what if you held the 5th star for more than 3 seconds and it popped up, would you like to give a 6-star and a tip of this amount? That would have been like the killer, awesome unlock. The other thing was surge pricing, which I was wrong about and he was right about. Surge pricing, anytime you've been stuck and couldn't get a car, surge pricing is pretty rad. Like being able to get a car in an emergency situation or, on a holiday or something, on Thanksgiving or Christmas or New Year's, like, better to pay 3x than not get it, I think. And you do that when you're buying tickets to the south of France, Amir, when you take your 6 weeks off and you go to the south of France during the high season, that business class is triple. And we just deal with these things, Amir. Like, put it on the
business class.
It's the
no concept.
It's literally. Naval had a good experience for it. It was like he's got this little micro. I don't know if you're listening to Naval's like micro podcast, Naval Ravikant from Angelus.
I know Naval Ravikant, but I did not know he does micro podcasts.
Naval. He does these he's got a micro podcast. It's a really clever idea. He just explains one topic for 3 minutes or 2 minutes or 5 minutes, so you can just listen to them while you're in line at the Starbucks or whatever.
Isn't that what Twitter is for?
Sort of, and he puts them on Twitter, but it's really good because he explains like one concept, and he just talked about how there are some people who will pay a ridiculous amount more for something that is marginally better. And the example he used was like a business class or first class ticket is 50% more space than a coach ticket, but they cost 5 times as much. So you're getting 50% more value, but it costs 5 times as much. And the only reason to do that would be status, your ego, or you don't care about money and you have so much of it that you'll overpay. And in that case, it subsidizes the rest of the plane. It's a really interesting kind of way of looking at it. I thought.
It is.
All right, listen, continued success, Amir. Thank you for breaking the news on this. It's my sincere hope that this guy, Tazo Duval, gets sued into oblivion.
You can talk to him too. I'm sure he'll talk to you.
I don't think he's going to talk to me. because I am wailing on him. He's definitely not going to talk to me. And I think this guy's a coward.
You might be surprised.
I think he's a coward for doing this. I think the right thing to do here, to Sal Duval, if you're listening, just convert to equity, be a mensch, do what you're supposed to, not even be a mensch, just be a basic human being. Give your employees basic stock options. And if you're thinking of going to work for this company or you're thinking about using them to build your app, you've got to get your head examined. Anybody who would screw their co-founder, their employees, and their investors, the people who supported them to get where they are, anybody who would do that is going to screw you eventually. That's for future employees, future investors, and future users of Toptal. Do not use Toptal service until they clear this up. He should just, it's such bad reputation. What, did you talk to him?
Yeah, I did actually talk to him.
He called you. How long did it take you to get him on the phone? I'm curious.
Well, I actually talked to him before I knew what the story was going to be.
Oh, okay.
And then came back to him later. It was an email conversation.
He's not pleased?
I don't think he's pleased. It's interesting. The original
What's your
interview
take on him? Yeah.
It's hard to say. The original interview was recorded by him, which I agreed to only on the condition that he also give me the recording, which I still do not have. But
you should have recorded it yourself.
Yeah.
You just didn't happen to have your phone set up for that because it's illegal in in California to record that, right, on a phone. Two-party.
Yeah. You have to get it.
New York, you don't. So New York journalists.
But he asked me, and I said, sure, just give me a copy. He has a very we didn't talk about how colorful he is, and maybe we'll leave that for the story. But he has a very interesting idea of what intellectual property is, and that includes personnel changes at his company. So, for instance, if his co-founder leaves the company but hasn't announced it publicly, he takes that. He believes that is not necessarily something that somebody else like me should be talking about, which is very interesting.
So he wants to sue you?
No.
For stealing their IP?
No. It's just it's
sounds like a veiled threat.
He's this is his baby, right? And he treats it as such, and so it's very everything about it is very sensitive, and I think. But again, he's large and in charge, so there's no there's no pressure on him. There's no pressure on him to do anything different because he has created a very successful entity. That's my point.
I think he's going to get sued into oblivion, and I think that when they do discovery, he's going to realize like screwing people over. It only takes like one or two people you screw over to really dig in. Like if I was one of these employees, I would create a revenge startup, and I would just go right after him, take all the employees because that's fair game. And, just gut the place and give them equity. That's how I got Peter Rojas, by the way. Do you know that story?
No, I don't know that story.
So Nick Denton promised Peter Rojas equity in Gizmodo.
Okay.
I pursued him and Elizabeth Spires or Spears? Spires? I think Spires is how you pronounce it. Anyway, Elizabeth wanted to go work for New York Magazine. Peter, I told him, I'll double whatever Nick Denton's paying you, and I'll give you equity, and you'll be worth millions of dollars. 18 months later, he was worth millions of dollars. We sold the company to AOL.
Right on.
But it was like, that was literally my recruit to him was, Denton will never give you equity. He's avoided this conversation 5 times. He promised. He never did it. He's never going to do it.
Yeah.
And then after that, Denton started giving equity to employees and papering it. I don't think it became worth anything after the lawsuit, but...
so your point is integrity matters.
I think... Yeah, if you're going to do a deal like this and you want to use equity as an incentive, you kind of got to live up to that. And I think Tasso knows that he screwed everybody. He knows he screwed everybody.
He says it's all legal. Read your documents, read your contracts.
Yeah, that's the lowest form of ethics is when people say it's not illegal. Like it might not be illegal to stalk somebody to a certain point or harass somebody. That doesn't mean it's ethical or moral. Like there's a large number of people who have done completely unethical, immoral things who did not go to jail for them. Like there's a long list. And I am just in shock of the thing that makes no sense here is he could give 10% to the employees, 17% to his co-founder, and 15% to the investors.
Right.
That's 40% or so. He would still own 58% of the company. Those people would be on his side, rooting for him, motivated, and the company would become worth more than 40%. And in fact, the company did become what it's worth because those people believed in him and trusted him and gave him that money and gave them their time in exchange for equity. And he abused it. And now I'm getting pissed off again.
I'll let you have the last word.
God damn it, I'm pissed off again. I am sorry. I just...
It's a good story. Read the story, everyone.
Everybody read the story. Everybody subscribe to the information and follow Amir, Amir.